Okay.
Okay, so I am an architect. I was trained about 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, and shortly after I graduated, I realized that while I'd gotten very good education about architecture in context, that I wasn't interested in designing buildings alone. I thought that it was much more interesting to try to understand the context and apply all of the skills that I had developed in architecture school to the space between the buildings. And then some years later, in about 2000, an opportunity to go to a congress came, and I attended, and I fell in love with the group of people that were involved, which ranged from everyone from transportation engineers to politicians to architects to landscape architects to community grassroots people who were really passionate about their community, and that we all had one thing in common, and we were very interested in creating better places. And I love the multidisciplinary aspect of CNU. And I had some misgivings about joining in the very early at that early time, because I had, like a lot of people, a stereotype about what Congress for the New Urbanism was. That it was primarily designers, architects mostly, designing traditional buildings. And I found that to be just a stereotype. And since that time, I've gone on to become more involved in the world of transportation through the Congress for the New Urbanism, which is, I think, hugely influential. The Congress and the Institute of Transportation Engineers, for instance, have teamed up and published a context-sensitive design manual for major urban thoroughfares that's beginning to have quite a bit of influence in the transportation engineering world, and every year we get more engineers involved in CNU. So there's a very important dialogue that is going on within CNU about transportation, since transportation is the thing that really forms so much of our cities. That space in between the buildings is primarily streets, and it's not designed by anybody really truly designed. It's more made to adhere to a set of rules that various specialists apply to that space in between the buildings. So I think what CNU is doing, and its emphasis on placemaking and the influence it's having in the public realm, is going to have a big influence on the future.